What's up everybody, it's CJ and I'm back with another ranking video in The Sims 3. So today we're going to be ranking the skills in the game. Now this isn't a complete list of all the skills in the game because it doesn't have the store skills, so like violin and dancing and gambling. It doesn't have that, and it also doesn't have the skills for the pets. So it's not a complete list, but this is what I got, okay? So I have three different tiers. I have always learn, which means I always have my Sims learn these skills. I have sometimes, which means, you know, sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. It really just depends on the gameplay. And then we have never learn, which means I never have my Sims use these skills if they have them. Before we get into this video, I just want to say that this is my opinion. So if my favorite skill and your favorite skill are not the same, that is okay. We could talk about it in a comment section. Let's just all be polite. But anyway, let's go ahead and get into it. So the first skill up here is the base skill. I'm gonna be honest with y'all, I never have my Sims learn this one. You know what, to be honest, I never have my Sims learn any of the like musical instruments skills at all, because I don't know, there's nothing against them. I think it's really cool to have your Sims listen to music and stuff like that, but when I play The Sims, I'm usually playing it for like YouTube or Twitch, and I just don't really dedicate a lot of time to having my Sims learn those skills. Like, I feel like out of all of these, drum is the one that I've probably had my Sims use the most, but even then it's not even enough to warrant me putting it in the sometimes learn. Like, I just don't ever have my Sims use it. Like, you know, I'd rather them go do something else. So I'm gonna put all of these musical ones in the never learn category. Next up, we have the bot building skill. This is gonna go in the always, y'all. I almost always, in just about every single household that I have on YouTube and Twitch, somebody in that household has got to learn the bot building skill. It's such a useful skill because, for one, plum bots are very like multi-purpose. You can, like, they operate by having like trait chips, and then depending on what kind of trait chip they have, it really determines like what they can do. So the ones that I usually give my plum bots are like the gardening trait chip, which means they can take care of the garden. They have like the skill maxed out. I have the one for like the nanny, where they can take care of the children. I have one where they can clean the house. There's also a handy one that helps them like fix stuff around the house. They're just so multi-purpose, and I really like using them a lot more than Bonehilda. Even though Bonehilda is really iconic, I feel like Bonehilda in The Sims 3 is kind of broken and a little glitchy. Sometimes she likes to train dogs a lot and it's kind of annoying, and then sometimes she'll like just try to take care of babies and toddlers when they cry, but she can't. So it's kind of annoying to play around with Bonehilda sometimes. So I kind of just tend to use Plumbots if I can, but I love Bonehilda just the same. But anyway, we're just going to put this one in the always use category. Next up, we have photography. Y'all, I never use this one at all. I think with this one, you have to sell like pictures and stuff like that. And you can also take photos and like display them in your Sims houses, kind of like how you can in The Sims 4. But I honestly never think to use this, y'all. Like, I didn't even know you could do some of this stuff until I looked it up. So, you know, nothing against this skill, but I just don't ever have my Sims use the camera all too often, which I should honestly use because, I mean, it's such a cool feature, but I just never have my Sims do it personally. So I'm just gonna put this one in the never use category. Next up, we have the advanced technology skill, and I'm gonna be honest with y'all, I never have my Sims learn this one at all. I don't really ever travel into the future when I play The Sims 3 anyway, because I've had a lot of issues with Oasis Landing. Usually what will happen is I'll try to have a Sim go into the future, and then the game will sometimes crash when it's loading, or it takes a really long time to load, and I just don't really always want to just travel in the game. So, you know, I'm gonna put this one here. It's a kind of a cool skill though. You can like change the future on the time portal. You can also program the Fruity Bob's recipe into the food synthesizer, and then you can also unlock additional Dream Pod dreams, which is kind of cool, but honestly, I just don't ever use this one that much, so I'm just gonna put this one in the never learn. Next up, we have the alchemy skill. Y'all, I always use alchemy. Again, somebody in my household has got to learn this skill, and one of the main things that I use it for is just to make the invigorating elixir. So it's an elixir that you can make that'll basically allow your Sims to stay up a little bit later, and there's also like a potent version of it that makes your Sims stay up even more. That's mainly what I use it for, but there's a lot of cool recipes that you can learn to use and make. So like over here is like a list of all the elixirs you can make. This one right here is the one I was talking about, the invigorating elixir. That's like one of my most used ones, but you have like a whole bunch to choose from though. So you have like the flask of angry bees. You can basically make Sims get attacked by bees if you want to. You have the jar of friendship, which is also a good one to use if you want to have your Sim become friends with another Sim a lot faster. So there's a lot of different ones you can use. Like it goes really in depth. You can also have your Sim become an alchemist if they have the skill, and they can also make a lot of money that way. So it's a very lucrative skill to learn. So I'm going to put this one at the top. Next up, we have athletic. So athletic is also going to go up here at the top. It's also a very useful one to learn. A lot of the careers in the game require you to have some level of athleticism, such as the acrobat profession, or if your Sim is a firefighter, or like a criminal or something like that. They have to learn these skills anyway, so it's kind of useful. And I feel like this is like one of the earlier ones that you pretty much always have a sim learn. So this one is like very, very useful in my opinion. Next up, we have the charisma skill. I'm going to put this one in the sometimes learn. I don't always have my sims learn charisma. I mean, it's very useful for like interacting with other sims and stuff like that, but I'm just going to put this one in the sometimes use because I don't really ever have my sims use it that much. Next up, we have the cooking skill. This one is also going to go in the always learn. I feel like cooking in the game is one of the most basic things you can do anyway, and I feel like sims are going to learn the cooking skill whether you want them to or not at some point because you just want to have your sims cook. I mean, not unless you cheat the skill, right? But I mean, usually if you don't cheat for the hunger need, you have your sims cook, so they're going to learn this one anyway. So we're just going to put this one at the top. Next up, we have the fishing skill. This one is also going to go on the always learn. Usually when I play The Sims 3, I'm playing legacy style. So my sims are usually broke when I start a challenge, and fishing is just a good way to make money in the game because for one, it's free, and two, you can always just sell the fish when you get it. So it's very, very, very lucrative in that aspect, especially when you learn like the recipes for catching different fish and stuff like that and learning what the baits are. So very, very useful in my opinion. We're going to put this one at the top. Next up, we have gardening. Gardening is also going to go at the top and always learn. Kind of like the fishing skill. I use this one in a lot of my legacy challenges and stuff like that. And it's free to plant stuff in the game. And whatever you plant, you can always just sell it for profit. And then you can like, you know, save some of it to plant again. So gardening is very lucrative, especially if you use like other store content items and stuff like that, or like other occult types. Like there's a lot you can do. I like to use the unicorns a lot of the times to replenish any dead plants and just have them like always spawn harvestables. Honestly, you can have like a unicorn bring a dead plant back to life, and then you can also just have them bless it, and then if they keep blessing it, it'll like spawn more like harvestables. Very broken. And I also use like the green dragon to like harvest a bunch of stuff at one time, so I get a lot of use out of the gardening skill. And also too, if you use a dragon to harvest a lot of stuff at one time, you can kind of build the skill up faster that way. So very broken. Love the gardening skill. One of my most used skills. Next up, we have the handiness skill. This one is going to, I don't really know where I should put this one. I think I'm going to put this one in the sometimes category along with the scuba diving. And let me explain. So I don't really ever have a sim learn this skill per se. So usually what I'll do is I'll get the handiness trait chip for a plumbot, and I'll just give it to a plumbot to use. So they'll have like a maxed out skill. And then when it comes to like scuba diving, I usually just have like mermaids, and mermaids automatically get the maxed out skill anyway. So I'm going to put this one in the sometimes because sometimes I do have my sims like do it normally, like a normal sim will have those skills, but usually I just use them on like occult sims. So I'm gonna just put this one in the sometimes learn, if that makes sense. Next up, we have the inventing skill. I'm gonna put this one in the never learn. I don't ever really have my sims practice inventing that much. More so recently, I'm doing it on Twitch with my families, but in my own personal gameplay, especially in how I used to play the game, I would never use this skill. So with this skill, you can invent stuff, obviously. So you can make widgets and toys, and you can sell them. They don't really go for a lot of money, but you can still sell them. You can also detonate objects, so like literally blow them up, which is kind of crazy. And you can also make a symbot if you max out the skill, which is kind of cool too. So you know, so all those things are really cool. It's not a bad skill in my opinion, but I just don't ever really have my sims use it that much. So we're gonna put this one in the never learn. Next up, we have logic. Logic is, again, it's one of those skills that your sims are probably gonna learn at some point. A lot of the professions in the game require you to have some level of logic skill, like the medical career or the ghost hunting profession. So almost always a sim in my household had the logic skill at some point. Like, it's just really useful. You kind of just, it's like one of the basic skills that you kind of need. So we're gonna put this one in the always learn. Next up is the martial arts skill, and I'm gonna put this one in the sometimes because in my own personal gameplay, I do have sims learn martial arts because I think it's kind of cool, but it is a little bit annoying when they stop to do those little poses. You know, it's kind of cool the first like 10 times you see it, but then after a while it's kind of annoying. I think there is a mod to get rid of it though, but you know, it's not a bad skill at all. I like the idea of you having to go back to China to challenge sims in martial arts tournaments. I've never really done it personally, but I think it's kind of cool. So I'm gonna put this one in sometimes learn. Next up, we have mixology, y'all. I don't ever have my sims learn this one at all. I feel like I have my sims more so learn it in the Sims 4 than in the Sims 3. I do like drinks in the Sims 3. I like how they look. I like how they have like the little symbol that kind of like represents what it is, like a star or a lightning bolt or like a little skill meter in like the cup, but I just don't ever really have my sims use it or learn it. So I'm gonna put this one in the never learn. I'd rather just go to a bar and just buy a drink versus have my sims learn how to make it, if that makes sense. So I should probably get better about having my sims learn it. Next up, we have the painting skill, and this one is gonna go in the sometimes learn. Again, this is also one of those really good useful base game skills to learn. I really like to do painting because you can make money off of it. but it just takes a while in The Sims 3 to actually like build the skill up, and even to paint something, it takes a while. I feel like that's the case for a lot of the Sims 3 skills. It takes a while to kind of build them, which makes sense, but this one takes a little bit too long for me, so I don't always use it. Honestly, I would rather use the street art kit that came with University, which that one isn't on this list for some reason. Street art would probably also go in the sometimes learned category. I don't have anything against it, it's just that I don't always have my Sims paint that much, so we're gonna put this one in the sometimes used. Next up, we have the writing skill, and I'm gonna put the writing skill in the always learn. I really use this one for horse competitions. I like to have horses in my household, or like unicorns, and I love to do horse competitions because they're a really good way to make money in the game. So I'm gonna put this one in the always. You literally have to have a Sim that knows the skill in order to enter a competition anyway, so I'm gonna put this one in the always learn. Next up, we have the science skill, and I'm gonna put this one in the never learn category. I've only recently, and I'm talking like a couple weeks ago, started using this one, and it's really cool. I like how you can take samples from different things and like you can like clone it, or I like how you can like change one item to be like another item. So it's really cool in that aspect. I like how you can change the DNA of some objects to make them become something else. So for example, like the insects, you can like change their DNA to make them into like another insect, which could be like more expensive, or you can kind of do the same thing with like some of the harvestables in the game. So it's kind of cool. You can get a lot of use out of it, but I just never really have my Sims use it that often, so I'm gonna put this one in the never learn category. Nothing against it, I think it's a really cool skill to learn, but I'm gonna put this one in the never learn category. Next up, we have the social network skill. Never use this one at all. I mean, I've used it in the past before. I think it's kind of cool how you can have like an online presence in The Sims 3, but I just don't ever use it or have my Sims use it that much, so I'm gonna put this one in the never learn category. Next up, we have the nectar making skill. This is also gonna go in the never learn category. I've had my Sims make nectar before, but I've never really went out my way to have my Sims learn the skill. I think it's kind of cool though, but I just don't ever really have my Sims learn it, so I'm gonna put it in the never learn category. Next up, we have the writing skill. Y'all, this is also gonna go in the never learn. Listen, this is a really cool skill, but it just takes so long for your Sim to be able to write a book. Like, y'all, if you have your Sim write a book, you might as well get started on one yourself, because it's gonna take a while. Especially like the romance novels, they take a long time to make. This one is in the never learn category. I don't ever have my Sims learn this one at all. And last but not least, we have the sculpting skill, and this one is also going to go in the never learn category. Sculpting came with ambitions, but I don't ever use it. I've had my Sims sculpt things before, but I just don't ever use it at all, so I'm going to put this one in the never learn category. So like I said earlier in the video, a lot of the skills that are in the game just are not on this ranking list. So for example, we have like the dancing skill. That's a store content skill. I'm going to put that one in the never learn because I don't ever have my Sims learn that one. We also have the artisan skill. That one's going to probably go into sometimes. Street art was also not listed, so artisan and street art would probably also go up here in the sometimes used. We also have the gambling skill. That's gonna probably go in the always learn because I like to have my Sims go to the casino a lot, so that one would go up here as well. You also have like the hunting skills for pets. That's gonna go in the always learn. I love to have my pets hunt for stuff, so those will also go up here at the top in the always learn category. And then there's also the violin skill. Violin is also going to go in the never learn. I never really have my Sims use like instruments that much in the game, so that's also going to go down here. But anyway, y'all, that is all that I have for this video, and this is how I rank all of these skills in the game. Let me know, how would you rank these skills? Like, what is your most used skill in the game? Or like what some of your most used skills, or like what are some skills that you never have your Sims learn? Let me know in the comment section down below. If you would also like to rank these, I'm gonna leave a link to this tier list down below. But anyway, y'all, that is all that I have for this video. If you did enjoy it, please be sure to leave a like, comment something down below, follow me on Twitch where I stream a lot more of The Sims, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye. Thanks for watching.